Welcome back to the show, everybody. Take a look at these numbers as the case moves closer and closer to summary judgment filings. I think we're going to look at some more information today that highly suggests it will be very important to know when it comes to XRP when something is a note. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook for exclusive content. It's 1,023,000,000,000. Good morning. Give Coin Paprika a follow. Their app is awesome. I love the mobile app as well. It is so easy to use. And like I said, it's got so many different aspects to use it. We will get into more of that as we move forward. Right now, Bitcoin, 19,800 plus, Ethereum, 1,500 plus. Number 8 spot. Shout out to Charles Hoskinson, who's just jumped XRP. And XRP is now at the number 8 spot right now at 33 cents. We'll keep an eye on it. I do want to remind everybody very quickly that Link2's running that $5,000 minimum special right now for all the products on their platform. If you're accredited, if you're a member of Link2, click the link underneath this video. Don't mess around. It doesn't last long. And Sunday at midnight, tonight, or Monday at night. Hold on. Let me find out and get that right for you. You have until Monday at midnight Pacific time to cash in on that little special deal there. I'm telling you, it does not last long. Don't mess around. That's an incredible offer. Click the link underneath the video. We're going to start right here. This is Mark Yosko from Morgan Creek Digital, and there's a couple different parts. Shout out to JV for putting up the clips and the people who interviewed him. But I'm going to play this clip because he's talking about why, as a company, they decided not to invest in Stellar or XRP because they held more than 50% owned by the entity. Now, we know that's locked in a cryptographically auto-locked escrow account, which I personally believe for a long time is probably being held by Polyside. But, you know, you can only prove what you can prove, but we'll see at some point. Hopefully, summary judgment gives us more information about a lot of that important data. That would be really key to know, but we'll see. But listen to this clip right here, because at the end of this, he's going to talk about BlockFi, which is important to where we're going today.
Which is what I am at my core. So, but, you know, we went along with it and we did it. And one of the criteria of the S&P 500 is you have to be a certain size and you have to be enough free float. You can't be centralized, or it can't be centrally controlled. And so that's why Tesla wasn't in the S&P for a long time, because it was owned too much by Elon, even though it hit all the other criteria. So we own the top 10 crypto minus anything that has more than 50% held by one entity. So that got Stellar and XRP out. That wasn't me pissing on either one of those. It was just, that was what we used as the rule. And we didn't do it. So I don't own XRP. I have great admiration for the group and the team and what their goal is approaching this massive infrastructure system that is antiquated and, to your point, doesn't do the things that we would like it to do in a new financial system. So I applaud that. I agree with you that the lawsuit doesn't help because people don't like lawsuits and they don't like regulators poking around. So but here's the thing. We're in the then they fight you stage. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. And if you come at the king, you better not miss. And I think that's a little bit what's happened with XRP here is Bitcoin and the others kind of came at the banks in a backdoor way where they said, oh, BlockFi, move your money out of the bank, turn it into a stable coin, and we'll pay you 6% interest instead of 0. 5 million does that, 10 million does it, 5 billion does it, 20 billion. Whoa, time out. 20 billion is real money. Now we're going to go through the New Jersey state regulator to get you in trouble, to have you settle with the SEC and all that stuff. We know that story. if you go with the big dogs, I think the regular.
He makes such a great point here, because I do believe that that is exactly what has happened here, right? And BlockFi is an incredible example, because that is a case that ended up being resolved through a fine, right? Where BlockFi was allowed to go back to work. And it is cited here in just a minute by Brad Garlinghouse's lawyer in a conversation back in June with an SEC lawyer on a panel where they discuss cryptocurrency and regulation and enforcement. Stay with me here, because I believe Ripple is after the new system. And in order to be to be the new system in the market infrastructure and to take on such a huge goal, and it is very difficult. And I think it speaks to the central monopolist, as Gary Gensler would refer to it, and the major banks that really control this monopoly of how the money gets moved around the world. And it will require, I believe, Ripple to give up either ownership of some of the company or some of that XRP in escrow, which may be in poli-sci. Am I speculating? Yes, absolutely. And apparently that's not too good to do these days. But if you're hearing my voice, whether you like it or not, you're a speculator too. Vet everyone, including me, especially me. You know what I mean? Because I am a speculator. I'm the guy back in the gold rush days who's going, I'm going to dig in those hills. I'm going to start panning for gold in the bend of that river, right? I mean, all of that, we are the modern day version of that. That is no doubt about it. And if I'm wrong, I will make the video, no doubt. Let me give you an example of where I was wrong before. Remember Kava? In the early days, I thought Kava, as well did Lee from SPQR Media, Mickey B. Fresh, and others, we thought that may have been like this new platform for the banks and this like almost like what became the Ripple private ledger. We thought that was it, right? The great reveal. Like I thought that was it. As it turns out, it's just an incredible lending platform, right? And staking platform. So, what's interesting about that is that, or a staking platform. And what's interesting about that to me is that even though we were wrong about Kava, what it was really designed to be and what it really is proven to become, which is a great platform in itself, what's interesting to me is that there was a development of a private ledger, which we kind of thought that was going to be, right? So how far off were we? Not that far, right? I mean, it's like, look, I feel like collectively all of us have been tap dancing on top of this thing as we move forward. I covered this yesterday, but I want you to hear this gentleman talk about this. Mike Blandina, Managing Director, Head of Wholesale Payments Technology at JP Morgan. He says something so key and so striking here, I want to revisit it today. Take a listen. Shout out to Wheezy for this too.
Well, I would just say, I think you can very clearly state today, this probably wasn't true a year ago, but I think Bitcoin and Ethereum have failed to be a payment method. I think they have succeeded in being a commodity, and certainly the U.S. government has deem those to be commodities at this point. So the downside to that is you don't want to pay taxes on selling, a piece of your Bitcoin to buy a cup of coffee, right?
That's a very key point, ladies and gentlemen. So they're commodities. So they're not things that you're going to want to use to buy everyday goods, because you get hit on the backside of these things too for taxes, right? So what a key point here. But this speaks to the larger question of what I've been talking about for quite a long time. What's a note, says JV. XRP, what type of ruling can be favorably for retail, even if ruled as a non-security? The way XRP is used, it will have to have some kind of designation from the court. Can't just be the SEC, what the SEC did for Ethereum. That's for damn sure. And always great stuff from JV. But listen, at this point, at this juncture, there's only so much we can know at this point. But I have speculated the Reeves test can play a huge role in this case. Ultimately, I see XRP as a virtual currency myself, but that and $5 won't get you a cup of coffee. Well, the $5 will, but I won't. If they're using the Reeves test, then it will come down to the family resemblance and how the judge views it. And that's really what we're talking about here today. And shout out to Wheezy, shout out to JV, shout out to Greenwood Holding Company, and everybody else in this thread. But what it brings back is the idea and understanding of this right here. This is Matthew Solomon sitting on the stage in June of this year, just a couple months ago, discussing the Reeves test, how important it is, citing the BlockFi case, which you just heard Mark Yusko talk about as well. And then you're going to hear Matthew Solomon defer to Steve Buchholz from the SEC about elaborating further on the Reeves test as if it's an inside joke. I'm throwing it back to you, Steve. And Steve is going to tell him, I don't think I can elaborate on this in a way that you would like. Now, understanding that Matthew Solomon is in the highest profile case in crypto right now, they all bust out laughing like it's the big inside joke. Now, I believe that the Reeves test long before this could be playing a major role in it, and it's because we have heard Gary Gensler use it as a defense when asked about cryptocurrency, and Hester Peirce as well. Take a listen to this clip again.
I think I looked yesterday, what's happened with all that. There may have been some extensions. I don't think we have clarity on that. Finding something, it's not a finding that's legally binding. This is the way that these settlements are styled. But the commission found that this lending product was a equity security, an investment contract, but also that it constituted a note under the Reeves test. And they set that out, the commission set that out in the settlement order. This is a way, I guess, of giving some kind of guidance through this settled order of how expansive the commission believes the Reeves test is in relation to lending products, not just equity security, but also, in their view, a debt security. Others are going to follow suit. Because clearly there must be other inquiries going on of similar products, since, again, BlockFi is not the only one out there like this.
And remember, there's a lending product with Ripple on XRP now, right? Keep listening.
So that's my perspective on it. I don't know if others have views, because I do think this is an effort. I don't know, Steve, if you can talk any more about it, probably not, but to give some information to the marketplace. And those are my personal views about what the commission's trying to do. But if you can elaborate on that for us, that'd be great.
Yeah, I can't elaborate in any way that you would enjoy, I don't think.
All funny games to the lawyers, right? Because it would appear that they are unspokenly wrestling over this moment inside the Ripple SEC case. That's what I personally believe right there the inside joke is. I could be very, very wrong, but I don't feel that I am, but I could be very, very wrong. And again, if I am, I will make the video.
But I don't disagree, however, with your read of the order, which does, to me, make some significant findings regarding the application of Reeves and the note analysis to lending products, as well as noting that these types of pooled crypto can require registration under the Investment Company Act. Those seem, to me, just based on the reading of the public document and the findings, to be pretty significant.
And like Matt said, we'll have to wait and see whether they can pull off the registration, because I think we all have experienced dealing with trying to register anything with the SEC. It's not always an easy path. There'll be significant development, and it'll be a path that others might follow. We're going to have to see. But what I also was significant that of course that the Reeves test has been talked about in the crypto space, but I don't think it had been used in an SEC case until BlockFi.
DeFi money market, which was the smaller one? DeFi money market was the smaller one, but shortly before, also in the last year.
So we all learned Howie. Now we got to go learn Reeves. So I guess that's part of the homework now. Thank you, SEC.
While you're on the topic, one of the key components of that analysis is whether there's an alternative regulatory scheme that provides protection to the participants or investors. And that's a significant component in this space, especially where things are at in terms of activities to protect investors in this space by other regulators. So
could he be talking about the FinCEN decision that already back in 2015, I believe it was, that already determined that XRP was a virtual currency?
I just, not that I know where that's heading or anything. I just flag that as one of the key elements.
No, I think that's right. It's kind of a broad concept, right? Whether there's some other regulatory regime, one would query whether you need it if you have sophisticated buyers, sellers who are willingly, participating in a new type of asset market. But I think clearly the SEC sees it as its role to ask that question under that test, and I'm sure we're going to hear that talked about more. Peter, were there any?
And there you have that. So listen, what's interesting about this for me is that it as we move closer to the summary judgment filings, I'm hoping that not only will we get more information and evidence on the facts in the case, but the importance of the Reeves test or not. At this point, it looks pretty important to me. And that's why I understand that Ripple has a Ripple lending product, not just because it works, but I think it helps them also work through the Reeves test the way that they want to. Now, of course, the SEC wants something completely different, don't they? But, that's what the case is all about. And by the way, the family resemblance test and the Reeves test itself requires from the very beginning that you start with the asset or product you're analyzing starts with the ultimate presumption that it is a security first, and you work backwards through the family resemblance test to see if it can be dismissed as a security and carried on as a non-security note, which would mean money, really. So that's really kind of where we are on this day, and we'll have to see what happens here. But that's exactly what we're waiting for, and I can't wait and hope that we get more information than we've gotten to date as retail investors on this case and where it might be going, and more importantly, where it's actually being argued at this point, because the Howey test is a bust as far as I'm concerned. Before we get out of here really quickly here, I want to show you this. This is the update right here from Eggrag Crypto talking about the ups and downs. If we go up, it's 36, 38, 41, 43. And if we roll over, we're looking at 32, 31, 30, and 28. I can tell you right now, if we get to that 25 or below, then I'll probably buy at 28. But if we get below that 25, oh my goodness, I'm filling a bag. That's just the way it goes. That's not financial advice from me or anyone else, but it's damn sure my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.